All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, October 30th. We got a decent-sized NBA slate to jump into in today's video, and like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean or leans on the games, as always, but my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself, those plays will be in the pinned comment. I update that throughout the day, so if you do want to fade me and what I'm actually rolling with, those plays will be in the pinned comment. In terms of last night, didn't exactly love what came through here. End up going 1-1 here. The Warriors -4.5. That was kind of a no sweat. They clean up the Rockets, but the Spurs and the Clippers game, I thought we had a good read on. Spurs plus 15.5 and the under 237.5. The under looked good, as in the same game parlay, right? But the Spurs, like, is it too early to cancel a team or to ban a team? Because 15.5, a couple games into the year, you can't keep this to 15.5 points. They lose by damn near 40 or maybe more than 40. Like, man, sour taste in my mouth left over from that Spurs team. So I don't know, maybe we're banning the Spurs fairly early in the year. I don't think I'm going to be able to confidently back them. 15.5 points? What? Yikes. Womp womp for that one. But on a brighter note here, we do have a great ride of the day come through, coming from Dreaded here. Had LeBron's over 21.5. He finishes with 27, I believe. So take that one to the bank, guys. If you do want to be the ride of the day, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments, and I'll be giving one person a chance and a shout out in tomorrow's video. I'll be jumping on board with one person's pick that uses the hashtag, and you guys again get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we celebrate it, we talk about it. You might pump in some crowd noise. If you lose, you might have to face the womp womp, which we just had to take ourselves. So enter at your own risk. But let's go ahead and jump into today's games here. We're starting it off with Indiana taking on the Bulls here. Indiana looking good to start the year. I will say, I don't know if they've been like totally battle tested, right? They take down Washington, and they take down a beaten and bruised Cleveland team with a couple of guys out there. Chicago on the season, 1-2, and they're like, strength of schedule hasn't been all that tough either. OKC, fine, I'll give it to you, a good team. Toronto, middling team, maybe. Detroit whoops them by 16. This Bulls team, I don't like the way they're starting the year, and I do think that Indiana may be a little bit too fast for the Bulls in this spot. So give me Indiana minus the 3 points. I think they run them out of the gym tonight. Total sitting at 226. I know I'm saying Indiana is going to run him out of the gym, but that seems maybe just the littlest bit too high for me. So I lean towards the under, but again, there is that ceiling that Indiana could put up a bunch of points like they have been doing on the year so far. 143 and 125 scored from them, right? And they let a Washington team that I don't think is all that great score 120 on them. So I probably stick away from this over, but I do lean towards the under. I probably stick away from this total, I should say, but I do lean towards the under. But I really like Indiana minus the 3 points in this one here. And that's another thing. My leans yesterday in the video were great. Like, we had a bunch of leans. It just so happened we were really conservative, only 2 final plays, and we split 1 win, 1 loss. But let's go ahead and move on to game number 2 on today's games. All right, Charlotte hosting Brooklyn here. Charlotte getting 1.5 points at home. Total sitting at 228.5. First off, I love the under in this spot. I will say Brooklyn is going to be without Nicholas Claxton, so obviously that is a little bit of defender there. Cam Johnson also looks like he's going to be out today. They are 2-0 against the spread on the season, Brooklyn. Charlotte, in terms of what they're looking at here, they're 1-1 both against the spread and on the season. I like Brooklyn in the spot. I will say, if this was anything more than, -2, -2.5, I'd probably stick away from this altogether. But I do think Brooklyn pulls out the win, a close win in this one, and the game's a little bit slower than we predict. So give me Brooklyn here minus the 1.5 points. Again, we kind of put them up to the test against the Mavs the other night, and they did cover. Like, they lost the game but covered, and I think this could be a Brooklyn team that sticks around in a lot of games this year. Now, they're favored in this one, but not favored by all that much. I'll take them minus the 1.5 points. Total sitting at 228. Like I said, I like the under in this one as well. Washington taking on the Celtics here. My Boston Celtics looking pretty decent to start the year. They've had to kind of claw their way into these wins, but they have looked good down the stretch, which has been good. Washington, on the other hand, didn't look great opening night against Indiana. They do get the win against Memphis, which I'll give them credit for. I liked Memphis in that spot. Washington goes out there and wins it. Shamet is out for them. Daniel Gafford is questionable in this one. I'm sticking away from this one just because it is such a large spread. Should the Celtics win this game by a bunch? Yeah, they are a better team than Washington, especially the new guys on Washington, Jordan Poole in particular. I don't know if he's like fully integrated or fully clicked, I guess. Obviously a good player, but you know, he went from, what was it, I think 18 points to 27 points. 27 you'll take all day long, right? 8 of 23 from the field, not the greatest. 4 of 12 from 3. Like, he is jacking the ball, so that 27 points is a little watered down in my opinion, but he is a good player. And I've liked him before, but is he, you know, the perfect counterpiece here to, I guess, Kuzma and company too? I'm not sure. Like, obviously Bradley Beal on that team is a better player, so I'm not high on Washington right now. I'm gonna lean towards the Celtics in this one, minus the 10 points. I don't know if I have the cojones to lay double digits though. Probably stick away from this one. In terms of a total, looking at 229.5. Seems a little high. I've been saying this with, you know, a few of the Celtics games now too. Like, these totals are up there. Now, they did hit the over against Miami with some late, you know, baskets there, but I think this is a Celtics team that as their defense gets better and better, this team plays a little bit slower and slower, and hopefully they can slow down a Washington team that has scored a decent amount of points. Like I said, they got blown out night number 1, but still dropped 120 in that game against a bad Pacers defense, but a good Memphis Grizzlies defense. They end up scoring 113 against, and you know, that makes up nearly half of this total. Not totally, but if I still think the Celtics can win this one commandingly and Washington put up, you know, 110, then this should be a spot for over. I just think that the Celtics team is going to progressively get better and better when it comes to the defensive end of the ball, and we start seeing more and more low scoring games until further notice. So I lean towards the under in this spot, mainly because I think that Celtics are going to totally dictate the pace of the game. If that switches up, then all hell's breaking loose. All right, guys, we get asked a lot, where can we see your prize picks plays? Where can we see your, you know, more of your player props one? And I do a bunch of those over on TikTok. I know TikTok is not everyone's favorite platform, but it is where we're posting probably the most secondary content, I guess you could say. And the username is evpicks 3.0, picks with a Z 3.0, because if you haven't been following along for a while or you're just not aware, we've had this, like, I think our 4th or 5th account. We had an account go to 50,000 followers, banned, 30,000 followers, banned, 5,000 followers, banned, you know, 2,000 banned. Now we're on, I guess, our 5th account here. We got a couple thousand over there. So if you guys do want to check that out, make sure to go follow that, or just check it out. You can obviously view the videos without having an account too if you're worried about signing up for TikTok, but go check that out, guys. Again, that is where we're posting a lot of prize picks plays, sleeper plays, parlays, player props, that type of thing. If I think anything is strong enough in terms of a single player prop, it makes its way to YouTube, so you will see that in the pinned comment, probably with a link to either Twitter or TikTok explaining it. But if you do want to see the prize pick slips, which I don't always post on YouTube and all that, make sure to check out my TikTok. Let's go ahead and jump back into today's slate. We're looking at a game that I'll be honest, I'm not all that thrilled about, or thrilled to talk about. We have the Trailblazers taking on the Raptors. Raptors 7.5 point favorites in this one, and that is partially why I'm not thrilled to talk about it. I think that's way too big of a number, but like, how can I say that with the Trailblazers on the other side of things, right? The Trailblazers in their games this year lost by 12, then they lost by, what was it, 15 or no, 5, excuse me, but to the Magic, right? And then they lose by a bunch to the Sixers. It's like, well, what is this Blazers team? DeAndre Ayton stinks. He was supposed to be big for them, right? Like, this is tough. And you have a hungry Toronto team. They get a night 1 win against Minnesota, and people are like, oh yeah, this is a good Toronto team. They do have a game against the Bulls in which they only lose by 1. They kept it close against Philly, but this team is probably waiting for a win here. So it's too many points, but I'll lean Toronto minus 7.5 just because they're the more consistent and probably hungrier team. I don't know if Portland cares all that much about all of their losses here. In terms of a total 217.5, I just must lean towards the over. It seems a little bit too low for me. Whether or not Portland's been bad or not, they still, you know, are putting up right around that 100 point mark, right? Which I think is fair enough, because I think Toronto gives you 110 in this one. So we just need a handful of buckets coming in piecemeal throughout the game that would help get this to 218. So give me the over in this one as well, but again, not exactly excited about this matchup. Don't know if anything becomes a final play from this. Atlanta taking on Minnesota, and I'll tell you, I wanted to go and lean towards Minnesota in this one. They had a 16-point win a couple nights ago over Miami, looked good, right? But I can't get over the fact that yesterday Atlanta, I mean, they had to have built some momentum, right, in the locker room amongst each other with that win over Milwaukee. They won against Milwaukee by 17 points. Like, this has to be a momentum spot for them. Give me Atlanta at home against Minnesota. Like I said, I was on the fence. I thought Minnesota matched up well against them looking at this, you know, game a couple days out, but you'd be lying if you said you weren't impressed by what Atlanta did yesterday. So let's see if they can keep that momentum going here. They are scoring a decent amount of points. They scored 120 plus in both of their last 2 games here. We haven't seen Minnesota's offense truly kick into gear. Now, can their defense sort of, suppress Atlanta? Yes, that could be the determining factor here. So also going to lean towards the under 234.5, but for like 2 different reasons. Like if Atlanta's going to win this game, I think it's a little higher paced game, but I will say 234.5 still a very high total. And we've seen Minnesota hold 2 teams sub 100 so far this year. I don't know if they've faced an offense quite like the Hawks yet, but we shall see. Give me Atlanta here plus the 2 points at home. Total sitting at 234.5. Give me the under there as well. OKC taking on Detroit. Some reason, somehow, I like Detroit plus the points. You're getting 6 here. I know the graphic says 5, but this Detroit team has either been winning or covering games like you read about here. 3-0 against the spread on the season here. OKC's looking pretty good too, so I don't want to take anything away from them. If you're on OKC, you don't need to be a psycho like me and look at Detroit, okay? Trust yourself. I think this could go either way, but 6 points seems like a little bit too much to give this team. Detroit's defense has looked okay as well, holding Miami to 103, holding Charlotte to 99, holding Chicago to 102. Like, maybe it is an underrated defense when they are healthy, and they do still. I'm not sure when, but Bogdanovich will be coming back at some point too, right? Like, this could be a team that, I'm not going to say makes any sort of a run. I'm not there yet, but maybe they impress people because they've impressed me through a couple games in the year, but it's still really, really early. And I've said that every time we've leaned towards the Pistons, right? I'm like, they're going to piston at some point. Like, the Pistons are going to piston. But right now, they're playing decent basketball, so call me crazy, but I like this spot. They're also 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games against OKC when they are on the road. So against the spread, yeah. So give me Detroit here plus 6 points. It might be a little bit crazy. Total sitting at 227. I don't hate the over in this spot. I know I just kind of talked up Detroit's game here, but I do think that, if they're going to score 115 kind of like they have been, OKC is going to give you something close, right? Like, even if it's a, 115 to 120 game, like, we're looking at a really good spot for the over. So I think OKC is probably the best offense that Detroit has seen. So even though I mentioned the 102, 99, 103, I think OKC should be able to give you a decent amount of points. I'm not surprised if OKC, wins the game, right? I'm not looking for Detroit to win. I'm looking at that plus 6, saying that's a little bit too big of a number. That's been good against the spread so far this year. Memphis taking on Dallas here. I like Dallas in this spot minus the 2 points. The only thing that could keep this from becoming a final play, and I don't know if I love even the narrative, but it's like this Grizzlies team is a gritty team and they're yet to get a win. Like, are they going to go in ready to die into this game just to get a win type of thing? If that's the case, then obviously the Grizzlies probably are the play, but Dallas has looked fairly good, beating San Antonio by, what was it, 7 or 8 points, beating Brooklyn. They didn't cover, but beating Brooklyn, they kind of controlled that game. Brooklyn makes a run at the end here. So I do think that this Dallas team, when healthy, if Kyrie and Luka are going to mesh, like, I know, say what you want about Kyrie. I hate the guy. He's a Celtic, so that's kind of why I hate him. But, like, the guy's filthy, right? And you pair him with one of, if not the best player in the league, and Luka, that's a damn good dynamic duo. And then they have plenty of tertiary guys that help out as well. So give me Dallas here minus the 2 points. Again, the only thing that kind of skeeves me out is the fact that we're looking at a Memphis team that just, they want to win so badly, like 0-3 here, and they have games that they should have won. Washington and the Pelicans, they probably could have pulled those games out. Denver, you schedule that as a loss. Really good team, right? But nonetheless, give me Dallas here minus the 2 points. Total sitting at 227. Give me the under, but ever so slightly. I don't think that makes its way into becoming a final play. Pelicans taking on the Warriors. The one thing that would worry me about this one is that the Warriors are on a back-to-back. I don't know if they plan to sit anyone, but we obviously have seen them do that in the past. I know Steph was even questionable heading into yesterday's game. He ends up playing, so I'm not sure how severe that injury was at all to begin with, right? But I like the Warriors in this one. Again, it just kind of, I don't want to say scares me, but scares me a little bit that they are on a back-to-back here. And we're seeing a Pelicans team that hasn't been playing bad basketball. They take care of Memphis night one. They have a grinded out type win against New York in their second game. They're 2-0 here, whereas Golden State has won their last 2 games, one of those being Houston though, right? But again, I still think that they are a good team, especially when Chris Paul comes off the bench. Like, I'm interested, obviously with Draymond Green back now too, I'm really interested to see the Warriors sort of record this season as the season plays out when Chris Paul comes off the bench, because that guy, yes, he'll probably get hurt in the playoffs or something like that, but that is an absolute weapon off the bench, right? Especially if he comes in and plays with some of the starters. Like, I think we're going to see a pretty damn good, Chris Paul 6th Man of the Year candidacy this season here. what do you have, like 12 assists? I think he's at 9, 12, and like 8 assists on the year. Like that is Chris Paul-esque there. But nonetheless, guys, give me Golden State again. Unless this is a back-to-back spot where they either sit someone or they're just not ready to play. I can't see a world in which the Pelicans are better than Golden State. Now, you're getting points here as well, which is a little worrisome. It's like, okay, well, Vegas knows something, right? And they might, but still, give me Golden State. Total sitting at 233 here in this one. I think I'm going to trust the defense of Golden State getting Draymond back here. We saw the Pelicans play good defense against the Knicks too. Give me the under 233. And like I've told you guys, I'm much more, at least to start the year, much more inclined to take these big total unders as teams start to feel it out. We probably only have like a week left of being able to do that before you're like, okay, these are world-class athletes. They figured it out. But still, right now, these teams have played 2 or 3 games. Like, give me the under 233 here. All right, Milwaukee taking on Miami. I don't care what anyone says about this spot here. Milwaukee, they got to be pissed. They got to be pissed about what they saw or what they did yesterday, or was it yesterday, right? Losing to the Hawks there. I don't care that it's back-to-back. I think they come out firing. They're at home. I think they steamroll this Miami team, this Miami team hasn't looked very good to start the year. They get a win against, they get a win opening night against Detroit. They were 9.5-point favorites. They won by 1 point, and then they lose to Boston, lose to Minnesota. This Miami team, I don't know if they have the it factor. Now, I will say what happened last year. They were a good team, not great. They made a push. Won when it counted, right, as a play-in team making the finals. So they definitely have like that, like I guess it factor, but to start the year, that it factor has not brewed yet. Like it's not ready to be poured. So I'll take Milwaukee in a huge bounce back spot here. I'd probably play Milwaukee up to like -7.5, to be honest, because I have to imagine Damian Lillard's pissed. Giannis is probably like, what is that? Damian Lillard scored like 6 points with 1 million turnovers, right? Like I think he bounced back, and they potentially get Chris Middleton back today as well. He's questionable. I think he rested yesterday. Not that impacts them all that much. Like I said in yesterday's video, I was like, I don't think Middleton's going to be the like, is he in or out determining factor for the Bucks this year. It's going to be Lillard and Giannis, obviously. But yeah, give me the Bucks in the spot. If they get Middleton back, good. If not, I don't think it changes my pick at all in this spot. Total 223.5. Give me the under. Give me the under. You have 2 teams that, yes, they set the presence defensively, and I like that spot. Do I think Milwaukee's going to be hard-pressed to score? No, but I think they can make the lives difficult of the Miami Heat here. So I will take the under 223.5. I'm much more inclined to taking Milwaukee on the spread, though, if I had to rank my leads in this game. All right, next up is Denver taking on Utah. Probably a fitting question here too. So I want to know, if you guys made it to this point in the video, I want you to comment 18 because you made it damn near 18 minutes into the video. But along with that 18, I want an 18 dash who you think is going to win the MVP award. You can give me a little blurb as to why, but I'm very curious as to who you think is going to win the MVP award. My take on the MVP award, it's like always the next guy waiting right now. Unfortunately, the team, for some of these guys, the team has to be good, like a Luka or, Tatum's time's probably coming as well, right? We see guys wait their turn. It's happened all the time. So whose turn do you think it is? Not that the MVP award, like someone can come out of the dark and win it, but I feel like we've seen it, like Joel Embiid, right? Like waits his time, just waiting for him to be healthy. Boom, he's healthy, wins. Like I think that is kind of how the MVP works in the NBA. It's just my personal take, but we've seen that time and time again, where it's like, okay, well, he didn't win it this year. I remember when it went from Harden to Russell to Harden, whichever the order was, right? But yeah, give me an 18 in the comments, as well as who you think is going to win the MVP and why. I think that, we're coming up on the years where it's going to start to be like either Luka or Tatum's era. And I'm not even saying that as a biased Celtics fan. Like, I think if the Celtics are that good and Tatum plays that well, he's going to start entering the conversation because he's been on the outside looking in, right? Luka's kind of, I would say, probably the next guy. But is it like Luka's time yet? No, that Mavs team has to get a lot better before people start considering that. But nonetheless, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let's talk about this game here. We have the Nuggets taking on the Utah Jazz. Second to last game on the slate as we jump into it today. Denver here, 3-0 on the year. Not all that surprising, right? Like, I was surprised a little bit at how well they look, because I said I think it's going to take them a week to get over the championship and kind of roll right back into it. egg on my face. Wrong. Jokic, great team leader. The team looks like they did last year. Utah, on the other hand, not playing all that great, but again, like I told you in multiple videos, I was like, I don't really know I don't know how to suss out this Utah team yet. Like, what are they? They lost a lot of pieces, right? Is it the marketing? Like, what is this team in terms of their identity? Who's their guy? Obviously, their starting lineup I don't think is bad, you know, with Collins, Marketing, Clarkson, Taylor, Horton, Tucker, but like, who is the main guy there? Whereas Denver, obviously, it's obvious. I will say 7.5 points is a decent amount to be giving a Utah team here that, yes, they keep the tempo up, they play fast, but I don't think you can bet against Denver in this spot. So if you want to be crazy, go ahead, lean towards Utah. I think I lean towards Denver. I don't know if I make it a final play. That might be my ode to, okay, it's a little bit too many points, right? But in terms of a lean here, I definitely lean towards Denver. The total sitting at 231. I like the under, but I'm not going to pull the trigger on it because we've seen Denver, you know, be able to put up, what was it, 119 in night number one, then 128 against OKC. And Utah, obviously, you know, letting up a boatload of points. They've let up 130, 118, and 126 against the Kings, Clippers, and Suns. Denver is just as good of an offense as those teams. Maybe they don't play as fast, but still, in terms of an efficient offense, Denver could go for a bunch of points tonight and make this under really hard to hit, even if they blow out Utah. So I'll be sticking away from that one. All right, last game on the slate, you have the Lakers taking on the Magic here. Lakers get the loss yesterday. They only lose by 5, though, but they were only 2.5-point dogs, so they did not cover. On a back-to-back here, nothing on the injury report right now, but again, some of these teams, the Warriors, the Lakers, maybe even the Clippers, like when they are on a back-to-back, keep an eye on the injury report throughout the day. Yes, we'd like to get it super early, but we wake up very early to do these videos. Sometimes they haven't delegated any sort of rest or blah, 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 or, you know, the anti-rest day things in the NBA. Like, just keep an eye on the injury report for some of these teams. But right now, I do like the Lakers minus the 2.5 points. I've been kind of preaching that this Orlando team's better than people might think this year, but I don't have much ground to stand on yet. They've played Houston and they've played Portland, right? So if they can go out there and beat the Lakers or cover against the Lakers, then maybe I have some credence to be like, I think this Orlando team is going to be a team that's pretty damn good against the spread this year because they have a really good lineup and it's very young. Like Fultz, Suggs, Wagner, Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. Like that is a young, and actually if they all sort of pan out, a really good starting lineup. Like it is. I know they always struggle with injuries. I understand that, but starting lineup, and they have a couple guys off the bench that are studs too. Like this is a young team that if they weren't the Magic, they'd probably be a better team. Like there's just a vibe about the Magic. But nonetheless, give me the Lakers here as I brag about how good the Magic are. I don't think they're good. I just think they're going to be a good cover team this year. They might have some magic in them. But give me the Lakers minus 2.5 points. Total 220.5. I like the over in this spot as well. I think this gets near the 230s. When we've seen the Magic play against bad defenses, like Houston, you know, they went out there and scored 116. The Lakers 127 last night against the Kings. Again, the only thing that could really throw a wrench in this is if like the back-to-back for the Lakers matters at all or to some degree. So keep an eye on the pinned comment for all the final plays, guys. That is going to wrap it up for today's picks. Let me know what you guys are rolling with in the comments, as well as your hashtag ride of the days and that 18 and who you think is going to win the MVP. I'm very curious there. But yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.